Welcome in to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today I'm looking at some Dynasty sells. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let's go. So, first player, Bo Nix. And before I go further, I don't want to say that Bo Nix is bad. I actually think he was decent. But I think there's a little bit of overconfidence in Bo Nix, especially in Dynasty Superflex leagues. He was a great fantasy quarterback. His touchdown rate and rushing yards. I was in on him pre-draft because I thought he was a value because of the rushing yards. But he wasn't the best real life passer in 2024. And I'm not 100% sure that he's a franchise quarterback, but he's being valued very highly. Now, last year in 17 games, 66.3% completion, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 6.7 yards per attempt, 222.1 passing yards a game, and 92 carries, 430 yards, and 4 touchdowns. 25.3 rushing yards a game. That's pretty good. 4 rushing yards don't hurt, but 6.7 yards per attempt, that's not good. The passing yards per game, that wasn't elite. 222 is okay. He was fine. He was fine, but a lot better for fantasy than real life. He averaged 18.2 fantasy points a game, 8th among quarterbacks. Was Bo Nix the 8th best quarterback last year? No. Should he be valued as the Dynasty quarterback 8? I don't think so. I think that that's too high. I think that we just have to look at some previous examples to show that maybe it's a little bit overvalued. So I think a lot of the thing with Bo Nix and the reason he's valued so highly is the wins. The quarterback wins gave him value. He went 10-7 as a rookie, lost the wild card playoff round. He was selected 12th overall. Now, let's think back just a few years. If we could remember a similar quarterback who did all of these things. Mac Jones, very similar, the same record. Better passing accuracy, better yards per attempt as a rookie. Similar draft capital, 15th versus 12th. I'm not saying these are the same quarterback. They're not. Bo Nix's rushing upside gives him more fantasy value than Mac Jones ever had. But in terms of real life performance and draft capital and what I thought of them as a prospect coming in, they were very similar after year one. Mac Jones did not become a franchise quarterback. Bo Nix, I think, might be a franchise quarterback. I'd say it's more likely than not, but I do not think it's 100% guarantee. And if it's nowhere near 100, for me, nowhere near 100%, he shouldn't be valued as an early second round Superflex starter pick. And that's where he's valued in some formats. And I'm not there. Now, the Broncos did build around him a little. They added Evan Ingram and Pat Bryant. They still don't have a wide receiver 1. Cortland Sutton is almost 30. He had a career year in 2024, which felt like an outlier. He hadn't really been all that great for like 5 years before that. The Broncos still kind of have a lot of other weapons. I mean, it's okay, but nothing is exciting me about this receiving offense. Nix had a 5.1% touchdown rate in 2024, 10th among qualifying quarterbacks. Not outlier rate, but it's above average. Could this come down a little bit? Yeah, I think it could. Now, how to sell Bo Nix? To trade a quarterback like Nix, it typically involves another quarterback in a super flex. I've seen one QB. We're not doing anything with Bo Nix. I build around the quarterbacks in Bo Nix's range. So the reason Bo Nix is a sell is not because I don't like the quarterbacks in that range. It's because I like the other quarterbacks in that range more, especially at cost. So Bo Nix and a 27 third for Kyler Murray and 2 26 seconds. I mean, Kyler Murray, whatever he is, has been a better passer than Bo Nix. You might not like it, but that's the reality. So I lean Kyler Murray straight up, but with the picks, I'd easily take Kyler Murray here. This one makes no sense to me. Bo Nix and Calvin Ridley for CeeDee Lamb and Jared Goff. Something's wrong there. I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb over Bo Nix. I'd rather have Jared Goff over Calvin Ridley by a lot in Superflex. This deal made no sense. So there are some people who are just way over the top on Bo Nix. I'd look to sell Bo Nix to those people. And then this last one, Bo Nix for Trevor Lawrence in 27 first. Has Bo Nix been better than Trevor Lawrence as a passer? Not really. I mean, he does have rushing upside. Let's say that Trevor Lawrence has a contract, which Bo Nix doesn't have. So there's that. Bo Nix maybe has a slightly higher range of outcomes. There's similar ranges of outcomes in terms of who's more likely to be a franchise quarterback. Bo Nix has more fantasy value. Is there a 27 first in difference between them? No. I'd rather have Lawrence in the 27 first pretty easily over Bo Nix. So Again, I don't dislike Bo Nix, but at his cost, in his range, he's definitely a sell. So my next dynasty sell, George Pickens, who again I don't think is bad, but I think in a year's time we're gonna be looking at Pickens lower than now, and I still think Pickens has some hope for what he could be, and I think in a year we're gonna look at Pickens for what he is, which is, I mean, probably a team's wide receiver too. Last year in 14 games, he had 59 catches, 900 yards, 3 touchdowns, 103 targets, 4.2 catches, and 64.3 yards a game. He didn't take a step forward. If anything, it kind of felt like a step back. I know there were some plays that were missed, there were some penalties, but it just wasn't all that great. He averaged 11.7 PPR points a game, 38th among wide receivers, right below Darnell Mooney, right in with Calvin Ridley, Quentin Johnston. Yes, really, Quentin Johnston and Jaden Reed. I would have expected more if Pickens were really an alpha, considering the lack of target competition on the Steelers, but he didn't step up. If he were really an alpha, he would have claimed this target share, but he didn't. He was fine, but not what I wanted. And I do think his target share will decline in 2025. So let's take a look. So last year, despite just nothing on the Steelers, he managed a 26.5% target share. It's 14th among wide receivers. That's pretty good. The thing that concerned me was the 24.6% target rate. It's only 31st among wide receivers. So when he was out there, he was not targeted at a super high rate. I mean, 31st, that sounds about kind of the wide receiver I think Pickens is, 31st-ish. It's nothing special. If he were really the alpha he claims to be, a lot of people think he is, and the big plays, people get excited. I think we're going to see more similar to Pickens 2023, where he was actually more productive, but he had a 21.9% target share and 20.4% target rate. I think that's what we're going to see playing alongside CeeDee Lamb. Now, he's in the final year of his rookie contract. He may be on a new team for 2026. And the Cowboys, we'll see. I mean, they owe huge money to Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb for 2026. They haven't paid Micah Parsons yet. Is a contract for Pickens in the cards? They're certainly not going to be able to afford to use a franchise tag on him. So could they pay him? Maybe. Is that where we want him to be? I don't even know. We've learned from past free agencies that new destinations are not always good. People are going to say, well, he could be a wide receiver one, but if he's not that good this year, then people aren't going to say that. So I don't know. I still think there's a window to sell George Pickens. I still think some people are on the idea of, oh, I see the big plays. There's so much talent. There's going to be a huge leap forward this year. I just don't see that. I think it's going to be more of the same kind of frustrating player and just okay. It's not bad, but just okay. So the first idea, could you move Pickens and a third for Bryce Young? These are all from the Dynasty Daddy trade database and 12-team Superflex. I just rather sit on the quarterback asset. I think there's much more value upside with a quarterback. George Pickens for Jaden Reed in a 26-second. Pickens and Reed, to me, very similar players. A lot of frustration for one reason or another. There's frustration for fantasy. Is it possible the 26-second is the best asset in here in a year's time? Yes, but Pickens and Reed are very similar to me. So I'll just take the side with a 26-second. It's pretty easy. And then the last, George Pickens for 27 first. I didn't see anything for a 26 first, but a 27 first, I like that. I mean, I just don't see Pickens ever being worth a random future first again. He doesn't get enough targets. He doesn't get enough receptions. He doesn't produce enough. And he might continue his NFL career, have a nice career, but he's not going to be worth a first again. So if you can do this deal now, it's a good price I'm very happy with. I would do it and move on. And for all of those reasons, I have George Pickens as a sell. Now, if you like my YouTube content, you should sign up for the Patreon. I'm offering a 50% discount off your first month at all tiers using code TylerYT50. You can sign up in the top right corner. Patreon.com/fantasyadvice is the link. You can get all my rankings, access to Discord, write-ups, Patreon-only videos, direct message fantasy advice, and the ability to ask and advance questions for the YouTube videos. Tiers begin at just $5 a month, $250 with the discount. And I really, really would love it if more people signed up for the Patreon. It really helps support the YouTube channel. I'm doing redraft and start sit content and interactive dynasty content in the Patreon. It's been hard. I will say July is one of the hardest months. I think one of the quietest months for dynasty. So it's been hard to get new patrons in there. But if you like what I'm doing, I promise you'll love the Patreon. If you want to know more about it, check out my Why You Should Join the Patreon videos on the channel. They're on the homepage under Patreon promos. I think I'm going to do another one. I'm probably going to drop it on Sunday. So I'm going to do it as an extra video. That way we still have the 3 regular videos, but I'll do the Patreon promo as an extra video on Sunday. So that will come out. I'm shooting for this Sunday. And it'll tell you more about what I'm offering and how I'm going to, transition the Patreon product into the season, what I do differently in season and during redraft season, especially I'll focus on. But again, 50% off Tyler YT50. Type that code in at checkout. You'll get 50% off your first month. Patreon.com/fantasy advice. You can click the link in the top right corner. It's also in the comments below. With that said, I'll move into my final dynasty sell. My final dynasty sell for today, Deebo Samuel. So Samuel was, of course, traded to the Commanders this offseason. Kind of felt like he was dumped on them, but now a sell window is opening for another reason. So we'll review what he did last year in 15 games, 51 catches, 670 yards, 3 touchdowns, 81 targets, 3.4 catches, and 44.7 yards a game, 42 carries, 136 yards, and a touchdown. He was in decline at 28 years old. Now he's 29. He was mostly at best the third option on 49ers behind Juwan Jennings and George Kittle, but even Brandon Ayuk was kind of outproducing him. And then CMC also was relevant. And then Ricky Pearsall overtook him by the end of the season. By the end of the year, it looked over for Deebo Samuel. He averaged 10.2 PPR points a game, 49th among wide receivers. I mean, it was over. He was between Rashad Bateman and Alec Pierce in points per game. It was over. It was over. And when it looks over for older players, we usually believe them, right? It's usually really is over. It's not a down year. It's over. So why am I out on Deebo Samuel? There's a lot of reasons, but we'll start with the low trade compensation. I mean, the 49ers traded him to the Commanders for a 5th round pick. It was a salary dump. I'm surprised, given the talk around Samuel, how no one was interested around the NFL. I'm kind of surprised the 49ers got anything at all, honestly. But they did get a 5th round pick, so it was low compensation. One of the things that scared me about Deebo in 2024 was the rushing efficiency. We saw many years of great rushing efficiency used as a ball carrier. He delivered efficiency for many years. He didn't do that in 2024. It was just 3.2 yards a carry, which we know is terrible. And why would it get better on a new team? Why would it improve? Is he even going to get the carries in 2025? I have no idea. We don't know. We don't know what the Commanders' offense will look like with Deebo Samuel. So I'm not expecting that necessarily. But it wasn't good. Now, the target share was also not there. 19.6% target share, 20.8% target rate in 2024, 45th and 58th among wide receivers. It just wasn't good. It wasn't good. And then looking at the routes run, 1.72 yards per route run and 1.46 yards per team pass attempt, 55th and 51st among wide receivers. And this was a Deebo problem. When Ricky Pearsall came in, he looked pretty good in those metrics. When Juwan Jennings the whole year, top 12 in both metrics. So this issue was not with the 49ers offense. The 49ers offense continued to produce lots of fantasy value all over the place with George Kittle and then Jennings, and then running backs were producing fantasy value. And then Pearsall came in and was good. We just didn't see any of that for Deebo Samuel. So it wasn't the offense. It was Deebo. And then lastly, Terry McLaurin is in the middle of a contract dispute. We know that despite all of the injuries and other issues that the 49ers have, Deebo really never stepped up in 2024. I don't believe that McLaurin's going to be traded. The Commanders absolutely need him. They have Jaden Daniels on a rookie deal. They need him. They're not going to trade him away. There's no way to replace him. It's too late at this point. I don't think he's going to miss any games. Players never hold out. We always say, oh, they're going to hold out. They almost never do. Even if he does, I don't think that Deebo Samuel can really pick up the slack anymore. Targets are earned. We didn't see that from Deebo Samuel. The efficiency's gone. We didn't see that from Deebo Samuel. I just don't think that even if Terry McLaurin were out, that Deebo Samuel would be super valuable for fantasy. And I don't think that Terry McLaurin is going to miss games. I'm going to say that right now. I think this deal does get done, even if it's a little bit acrimonious. So how to sell Deebo Samuel? There were no solo deals for him, so we had to get a little bit creative. The first, Deebo Samuel, Dylan Sampson, 26th third for Ricky Pearsall. That's kind of interesting. We're just talking about Pearsall. Dylan Sampson's also kind of in the news. I do think this is kind of a sell window for Dylan Sampson. I'm just not sure that Dylan Sampson is going to be amazing or a future starter. So including him here to get Ricky Pearsall, who I do believe in, is interesting. Deebo Samuel and Stephon Diggs for DK Metcalf. Deebo Samuel is old and wasn't good. Stephon Diggs coming off an injury. DK Metcalf, whatever he is, I think is going to give you multiple years of usable production. So I'd much rather have DK Metcalf here. And then the last one, Deebo Samuel, Devontae Adams on 26 second for 227 firsts. It's okay. It's pretty good value. You do have to wait till 2027 for the firsts, but you're getting a first for a 29-year-old receiver who is totally ineffective and someone who turns 33 during the season. So it's about the best you can hope to do. And if you're rebuilding, obviously, I would do this over making no deal. So I think we've seen that. I'm pretty happy with the returns for Deebo Samuel, and he's definitely a dynasty sell for me. So next up, I wanted to cover Garrett Wilson's contract extension. He signed a 4-year extension worth $130 million with $90 million guaranteed. It's on top of the final year of his rookie deal in 2025 and his 2026 fifth-year option. Wilson is signed through 2030, therefore. It's the same structure as Sauce Gardner, who also signed a 4-year extension, around $120 million. So both players signed through 2030. But if I was reading the contracts correctly, 2029 and 2030 are basically no guarantees. So really, this is locked in through 2028. But essentially what it means is Wilson is signed to the Jets for his dynasty lifespan. Usually these contract extensions result in added value. In this case, I'm not sure that that's the case, but it's nice, I guess. I'm still a little bit worried about the Jets quarterback situation. Overall, I've been pretty in on Wilson. I think Wilson is a very good player. But honestly, this news did not change anything in my dynasty ranks. He wasn't a sell before. I don't really think he's a sell now. So there's not much to do about this news, but I did want to talk about it and congratulate Garrett Wilson for getting this money. I do think he deserves it. So we'll do some Patreon questions and then we'll wrap up the show. How do you view the Wirfs injury and offensive coordinator change to affect Baker Mayfield this upcoming season production value-wise? You project regression from last year's season. He threw like 41 touchdowns last year. That's not going to happen again. So even if there were no changes, I would project regression. The offensive coordinator change, I'd say I'm like a little bit concerned. I'm not going to be too concerned. The Tristan Wirfs injury, that is concerning. I'm probably more likely to move Baker Mayfield down from a redraft perspective based on that. I think with Baker Mayfield, we know what Baker Mayfield is. We know what he is. The 41 touchdown season did not change my opinion of Baker Mayfield as a talent. So in Dynasty, it kind of is what it is, but maybe I'll move him down redraft. But yes, of course I project regression. He's not throwing 41 touchdowns again, period. Do Vegas betting props, player season totals, team win totals provide useful information for us? If so, how can we best use that information that Vegas provides? So player totals, you can only go over or under those. So sometimes they're not as helpful because you're not rewarded extra for being really wrong in one direction or another. I think they can help, but overall, sometimes they can be a little bit misleading. Team win totals, though, I think are helpful. Team win totals tell you a lot about which teams are going to be good and which teams are going to be bad. And Vegas is obviously nobody's perfect, but they're pretty accurate with that. So the teams that are going to have low win totals, I'm very cautious about projecting those teams for multiple years. Because if you have a low win total, if you're 3-14, the whole team can disappear. Coach can be gone, general manager gone, quarterback can be gone, everything can be gone. So I do use that. Obviously, teams with high win totals, I think, are more likely to be stable. You probably after a 12-5 season, you're not going to make major changes. So I do think the team win total is the one that is the easiest to use. But there can be a little bit of stuff with the other things. But yeah, team win totals is the one I look at the most. Do you see a future where Kansas City needs to return to the more aggressive passing offense? With a great defense, seems like they've been able to game manage and win of late. Do you see a future? Might it be a good buy low time for Mahomes? Sure, it's possible the defense regresses and they need to pass more. I still think Mahomes can do it. So yeah, Mahomes is about to turn 30, which is still not old for a quarterback. I do think there's a universe in which Mahomes maybe doesn't return to the 2018, version, but is better than he's been the last couple of years. Now, if they pass more and Travis Kelce is maybe in decline, is it possible that both Rashid Rice and Xavier Worthy are productive? Yes, I do think that that's possible. So could it be a buy low window for Mahomes? Yeah. Could it be a buy low window for if Worthy or Rice are undervalued? Yeah, I could see that because it is possible. But I don't think we're going back to the Kansas City Tyreek Hill offense. I don't think we're getting that back. So, we'll see. But yes, I do think there's a possibility they could pass more than they have the last 2 years. Now, if you like the video, make sure to support the channel by subscribing. And don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops. Of course, if you want my best fantasy football advice, it's available on the Patreon. Dynasty and other fantasy football content year round. You can click on the link in the top right corner, patreon.com/fantasy advice. 50% discount at all tiers using code TylerYT50. Type that code in at checkout. You'll get 50% off your first month. Every sign up helps support my independent fantasy football content. But once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.